and this is www.technomag.co.zw. Join with me right here is the President for the African Council for Distance Education, Professor Tolly S.A. Mbwette. Sir, we are so much honored to have you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Right, we are here at Victoria Falls. We have managed to see the convergence of various different African countries coming here, sharing keynotes on how to develop more education as far as the distance learning is concerned. And you are the president. Say ACDE. What is ACDE for the benefit of our viewers there? Probably we just need to have more information on this ACDE.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to start by saying ACDE is an African-wide organization which was established in the year 2004. It is a brainchild of African vice chancellors who were concerned that the institutions that are delivering using distance modes, and in here I'm referring to those that are exclusively distance, as well as those that are face-to-face, but they deliver some of their programs in distance modes. Both categories were included there. So the vice chancellors who met then in 2004 thought they were very clear that we needed to work together. Looking at the Africans saying that when you do work or work together, you achieve more than when you are alone. So they realized the thought of establishing the council by 2004 in the Egerton University in Kenya. And subsequently, by the year 2005, they were so determined that they held the first conference in General Assembly in South Africa, hosted by UNISA. And subsequently, once every 3 years, we have had the opportunity of having a conference in the General Assembly. The second one was held in Lagos, Nigeria, hosted by National Open University of Nigeria. And the third conference was held in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, hosted by the Open University of Tanzania, an institution that I'm the current vice chancellor of.
Okay.
And this time we are very pleased that we have moved from Tanzania to host this assembly and conference here in
Zimbabwe now.
Victoria Falls.
Yes, Victoria Falls.
So what does ACDE do? First of all, ACDE is now an organization that is formally recognized by the African Union Commission. It has an observer status in the African Union Commission.
Okay.
And it works with the African Union Commission to assist it to focus in knowing how it can utilize open distance learning to improve access to education to more Africans at different levels. We're not only talking about university level. And at the same time, the ACDE is also working with the African Association of Universities, AAU, based in Accra, to see and discuss with them how the universities can use open distance learning. The headquarters of ACDE are in Nairobi. It's hosted by Egerton University. You recall it's a historical institution. Where the first meeting of establishing ACDE was held at Egerton. Egerton University is providing current headquarters for ACDE. And it has membership of different institutions from within Africa with the objective of assisting African governments and other institutions involved in education in realizing better usage of open and distance learning to improve access of its citizens to education.
How is that been? I know it's one of your objectives as ACDE to help the African governments. But how is it?
Okay. One is the issue of, distance education is there since maybe 100 years ago in Africa through the UNISA efforts, but awareness about the general society on importance and the role of distance education is not very high. There are people who believe that qualifications offered through open distance learning are inferior to qualifications
That was my next question.
offered by a residential mode.
Yes.
And this is a fallacy that is there mainly because some of us, the older parents like me, went through the distance mode, so through the residential mode. They cannot imagine that somebody going to school using the distance mode would have equivalent qualifications.
Okay.
But the good thing is that now ACDE is doing the issue of awareness creation and enhancement, that people should forget this fallacy. And the institutions within ACDE are working hard to do research to produce evidence showing that this idea of better education through distance mode, through residential mode, is a fallacy that is there. And you have to dismiss that belief using data. So we through ACDE, we do joint research in ODL showing how people who have gone through this system are performing out there at work, and also how they are performing or outperforming those who have come from the residential institution. I give a simple example here. I know Zoe has done very well here in Zimbabwe, but let me give me an example from my own home university. Because of the belief that people had in this, so sometimes some graduates who came from the Open University of Tanzania are having difficulties in being admitted for postgraduate studies. However, I tell you, I have been now a vice chancellor for well over 9 years. And over this time, the students coming from the Open University of Tanzania have been admitted to residential universities. They have gone there in the postgraduate studies, master's level, to actually lead their classes. And then those lecturers from residential universities who are dismissing those students end up recommending employment of the same students as lecturers in their universities after they had come from an institution that was supposedly of a lower quality. So there you are. Those are the life examples where somebody is so dismissive, but now they learn through their own classes that what they believed is not entirely true. And that's just one example. But you also look at the performance, for example, of lawyers who come from the Open University of Tanzania. They are advocates who work in different parts of Tanzania and maybe other countries abroad. Those advocates, when they go to do the examinations for admission in the bar associations, if they interview 300 candidates, usually they find of the top 10, 5 come from the Open University of Tanzania. Wow. So you don't need to belabor, to show this. But for me, what I can help your viewers to understand is that because of mainstreaming ICT, information and communication technology, in our delivery, both the residential universities and the open distance learning universities are now slowly going to merge. Ultimately, all of us will be teaching using blended learning. Okay. A little bit of face-to-face and a little bit of maybe more of the ICT, social media, and other sources. Because young students who are studying in university now, they have access to more ICT facilities than we did. True. But they are also able to search for information on their own more freely. So you cannot stand in the class there. I believe me, 5 years from today, we are speaking here, 5 years from today, you will not be able to keep 100 students listening to you for 1 or 2 hours. If they know they can get the same materials by searching on the web. Okay. So they will want to listen to you, some advice you are giving them on the learning objectives, the learning outcomes, and then you can agree how soon after that discussion you meet to check how far they've gone. And after all, sometimes you can exchange these things in an electronic platform. That's very true. See? But all we are saying is that the idea of timetable and forcing students to stay in class may work now for our residential colleagues. But 5 years down the road, they will have no students. You may even find students running away from the residential mode to actually go to the distance mode. But as I say, all of us will later on end up into blended mode. And then this presumed separation of distance and face-to-face will not be there. So that is the reality, whether we like it or not. Okay. But now it will require that the lecturers in the universities have to work very hard to catch up with the youth. The youth are very good in using ICT facilities. That's very true. Now, the lecturers now who are in the universities, either they will survive or they have to look for a new job. New jobs, yes. Because the students need only learning facilitators, and that's the job. Now, how are the universities helping the governments to make headway? I talked about the issue of awareness. By working together under ACDE, we can do joint research. And we also collaborate, for example, with institutions that are at global level, like the International Council for Distance Education. Mr. Gad is here and we're going to talk to him. This institution brings together all the ODL stakeholders at global level. Therefore, ACDE attends those meetings to explain what we are doing in Africa and to learn some lessons, good and bad, from the people who come to different meetings. And like now, we are very happy that Mr. Gad from ACDE has been able to attend this meeting, and he comes with some information that we've shared. And we hope those efforts of working together will assist us to support the ministries of education to be able to deliver education using ODL in several other levels. Okay. And I'm saying this because Zimbabwe is a member of SADC, Tanzania is a member of SADC. My own university is hosting a SADC Center of Specialization in Teacher Education. This center is established by SADC countries to allow us to do training of trainers in the different countries that are members of SADC. And after some while, we will be having a few training in Tanzania, but later on we expect those people that we train will go back to their countries to enhance the capacity of people to use ODL in training. So that's an effort of SADC which I think has to be commended, because by training people using open distance learning, you actually use less money and you reach many more people at a lower cost, but with a guarantee of quality. Okay. Because in the other systems, if you increase the number of students too much, quality is bound to suffer.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the difference between now the ODL system, its flexibility, and the residential model of education. Okay. And again, we have to agree, our government, no matter how much money they may have, they will not be able to build enough walls and classrooms
for every student.
Because we simply don't have that money. Therefore, we have to agree that we need some way of making headway in this area. One critical area which is there is the shortage of teachers in Africa. If we want to catch up to have more teachers in good time, we must use unconventional methods of being able to bring in more people.
All right. Probably my last one, Professor Mbwette. Today, this is the second day of the fourth session for the ACDE. We have managed to see a convergence of various countries here. Do you have at the top of your list some probably near-term objectives, what you're expecting to achieve during this conference?
Okay, I think one of the issues that are there, the theme of this conference is integration of African institutions. So we are expecting more institutions to feel the need to integrate and work together. That aspect of togetherness is very critical, but it also allows us to exchange things to avoid reinventing the wheel. Okay. You're pretending you are doing new research while your colleague did it several years ago,
and you could actually learn from them.
Yeah. Secondly, materials. You don't have to start drafting from scratch materials while you have open educational resources which are there that have a CC license which allows you to adopt and acknowledge that you use material from someone. Okay. So these are some of the, and then the idea of working together, you avoid having to do so many things on your own at very high costs. So the cost of doing things together here, as we do under ACDE, goes down per institution. Okay. And this is why, for example, tonight we have an award session. I think it's important for us as
what do we expect on the award session?
Today, we are expecting to do, shall I say, almost 80% of the awards today. I will tell you why the 20% will not be done today. Okay. We are expecting to award various categories of people and institutions. People who have done work at global level to actually promote the use of ODL from different continents. There will be one from Africa, two from Africa, I guess, one from Asia, and one from Ghana. Okay. And then the next category will be to recognize institutions that support activities of ACDE very well. I think we are recognizing some 4 institutions, again from different parts, one from Africa, 3 from Africa, one from Canada, and one from Europe.
We are looking forward to this.
And then we are also going to recognize the outgoing board members. My presidency will end in July. We will have election tomorrow. Okay. So the outgoing board members, it's good to recognize the role that they
do. Do you think you're going to be re-elected? Or is there room for
re-election? Our constitution doesn't allow
re-election.
What you call the third term, it doesn't allow.
Okay.
So the presidency will move over to the host university, which will be Zimbabwe.
Wow.
For another 3 years.
We are greatly honored.
So for me, they have hosted this conference very well, and I think our constitution is very clear on that aspect. Okay. And then the final category there will be staff members who worked for ACDE and have now moved on, and we recognize their input. Now, the 20% that will not be done today will be done on a special occasion.
Okay.
It's a very special award that we have reserved for His Excellency
Okay.
for recognizing him as a century winner, as a person who has actually demonstrated by getting degrees through the ODL system, many degrees through the ODL system. And as a leader here in Zimbabwe who has actually supported ODL, because in some other countries you have troubles with the officials, starting from ministry official all the way to the top.
Yeah, true.
In this country, issues of ODL, you don't need to actually start.
Because it's actually coming from the top going down.
Yeah, not
it's a top-down
to
situation.
convert people, because people believe, because he himself has actually shown, demonstrated how one can be able to benefit using ODL. So these were now, because of the unfortunate incidents of also the national hero, His Excellency couldn't be able to receive award here. They are organizing with the responsible authorities to have a session in Harare at a convenient time. But I'm sure when he receives the award, he will give him. It's all recognition, and it's a well-deserved award.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. I guess you can share your last words to our viewers. They maybe 1 minute or so, maybe a few more seconds. As far as the
for me, I'd like to stress that it's important that people have confidence in open distance learning model delivery, and I'd like to share the fact that colleagues in Asia, those who are selling us so many goods,
respect to them.
Yeah, they are selling us so many goods. They have actually more than 80% of them have been trained using the ODL system. So this idea of looking down on ODL system is an issue that has to come to an end, and people are here. They should prepare to use this system very well. And let me also say that the use of information and computing technology in the delivery using distance mode has really made life very good. And even our colleagues who used to complain in rural areas by claiming they don't have power, don't have anything, we are now in the process of doing joint research using mini tablets and solar energy chargers, so that they can still get the education wherever they are in the rural areas. As long as our colleagues in the telecommunication industry help us to ensure rural areas are covered, they are not marginalized in terms of communication, they will be able to get education out there in the rural areas. Right. So please let Zimbabweans use this opportunity of hosting this conference as an opportunity for them to say, now we'll take time to check how well this system does.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. I've been speaking to Professor Tolly Mbwette, who's also the president for the African Council for Distance Education. Sir, and greatly honored, and thank you so much for your time in hosting us here in Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, and we look forward to further collaboration with our colleagues in Zimbabwe.
And for those who are just watching, you are joining us live from Victoria Falls here in Zimbabwe at the African Council for Distance Education. And thank you so much for taking your time to watch us on www.technomag.co.zw. And thank you for your time. Sir, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Great.